Hey everybody, Greg Pruitt here with the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. It is October 7th, 2025. And before we get started into today's video, please be sure to subscribe to our channel on Rumble, especially that way we know that you're getting the latest and greatest content. You can also subscribe on YouTube, wherever you want to watch it, but definitely on Rumble. Additionally, if you're not a member of the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, please be sure to join today. The link is down, scrolling along the bottom there. You can join up and become a member of this great organization. And it's stuff like this Jerome County gun ban that make the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance such a great organization to be a part of. So most of you may have heard by now, about a week ago, the county commissioners voted unanimously at the advice of legal counsel. And they insisted that they talk to legal counsel. They went on the radio shows and talked about having legal counsel that said, yep, you have the right to protect your employees, and therefore this administrative building, which was an old courthouse, okay, in the state of Idaho, carrying a concealed weapon in a courthouse is a violation of the law. But this was no longer a courthouse. They turned it into an admin building because they have I'm going to call it a new courthouse. Okay, so I live in Jerome County. Okay, I go through Jerome all the time when I'm traveling up to the capital from the eastern Idaho area, and I stop in Jerome all the time. But outside of stopping at the gas station, usually at the Maverick there, because it's about halfway between Boise and where I live down here in Rigby. But outside of going there and maybe the Walmart off the Jerome exit, I don't ever go to Jerome. So I didn't know anything about the town in terms of how old this new, quote unquote, new courthouse is. It turns out somebody told me it was built in 2016. And so for a really long time, this admin building has just been there. It's filled with, it's a county building, right? It's got lots of different services that they provide, but it's not a courthouse. Okay, they have a new courthouse, and then the old courthouse where they used to have stuff is no longer a courthouse. And all of a sudden, I started getting text messages. In fact, a good friend of mine who's an attorney sent me a news article and said, hey, they're saying courthouse, but this isn't basically a courthouse anymore. It's the old courthouse building, but it does not function as the courthouse. There's no judicial hearings. There's no judges. There's none of that stuff that makes a courthouse a courthouse is happening at this facility. So we immediately contacted our attorneys and said, hey, get ready. These guys implemented this ban in violation of the preemption statute and the Second Amendment, by the way. But more specifically, the preemption statute, we might have to go seek an injunction. And so our attorneys started preparing and doing all their research and all that good stuff, which, by the way, is never cheap. Okay. As most of you know, legal battles are extremely expensive. Even when you're almost doing nothing, it can be extremely expensive. So anyway, so they started prepping stuff. We were ready to go. And gun owners, it just started spreading all across the state. Okay, there was not just people in Jerome County that were concerned. We started hearing that people in Twin Falls had told me that some of their government officials were considering similar bans in a similar manner that Jerome County just tried to do. And we said, okay, but like the preemption statute, this is literally what it's meant to stop, is this kind of very specific stuff. So that you're not traveling from one county where things are banned, and then you're going to another county where things aren't banned, and then this city it's okay, but in this city it's not okay. To prevent all of that insanity and keep you from accidentally becoming a felon or committing some sort of crime just because you don't know the laws and regulations of every little city and county and municipality, the state just said back in 2008, look, the state's going to regulate firearms possession, which, again, we have a Second Amendment, and that should really be the end of it, but it is what it is for now. But at the very least, the state's not going to let all these cities and counties do this. And most states in the union have a firearm preemption statute. Some of them even have knife preemption. So we said, This seems like the most obvious and glaring violation of the preemption statute we've probably seen in quite a while. So we started putting out emails, we started putting out videos. We had people calling and emailing and talking to their elected officials and voicing their frustration that the county had decided to do this. Last night, we're happy to report the commissioners rescinded the ban And again, look, they're worried about their employees. I'm not saying you can't be worried about your employees. Number one, good grief, if you're in Idaho and you're working in a government facility, you got to be carrying a gun to protect yourself. But the county also has the ability to station a deputy inside the facility if they want. There's nothing to stop that. It doesn't violate the firearm preemption statute. You just can't prevent the citizens from protecting themselves while they have to go do services that might be required, by the way. Okay, look, if the mom and pop grocery store in your town decides to ban firearms, you can go get groceries somewhere else if you want. You can go to another place if you want. But when the government says, well, these government services you need, now, by the way, you're also going to be disarmed coming into our building, that's a whole different story. Okay. So thankfully, they voted yesterday to rescind the ban, or said they were going to rescind the ban, whatever. And then they also said that my understanding from what happened at this meeting is that they're also saying, yeah, legal counsel says we probably couldn't do what we did. I'm like, wait a minute here. Is this the same legal counsel that said it was okay the first time that's now saying it's not okay? Did you get different legal counsel? Like, who are you talking to? Did you just talk to some random attorney that was off the books and stuff? Did the county prosecutor have some input into what happened here? Was it a city government lawyer? Like, who are the lawyers that advised you the first time, and who are the lawyers that advised you the second time? That's an answer the ISAA would still like some clarification on, because I think that's important for the public to know who gave you the bad advice the first time, especially. The second time, the attorney was clearly on the right track, saying, yeah, you can't do this. But who did it the first time? That I want to know. I think the public deserves to know who gave you that advice, because that attorney probably needs to answer some questions. How the heck, as an attorney, would you advise the commissioners to make this and not go, hey, guys, there's this preemption statute that probably doesn't let us do this, number one. Number two, sure, you can ban it, and it's banned in a courthouse already, and all you got to do is implement the security measures. But we're like, we can't do this. How did an Idaho attorney who's asking about firearms not know about the firearm preemption statute? I'd be really curious on how that didn't come up. And if it did come up, how did they get around it to say, oh yeah, but you know what? The county administrative officials have the right, even with the preemption statute, to do this thing. Show me where that law is. Because here's the thing. If that was a thing, you'd see bans at city halls, and every government facility in the state would ban firearms. If there was some sort of loophole that this attorney magically found, that he thought that he or she, I guess, thought that this was okay. So I'd be curious if somebody has the answer to that. If somebody already knows the answer to that, please reach out to me. You can go to president, that's all spelled out, at idahosaa.org. Here, I could probably just add that in there real quick, because I'm very, very curious to know the answer to this question. So here, let me real quick throw this up on here. Okay, that's my email. If you have an answer on who advised the county commissioners the first time and the second time, I mean, second time they got the right advice, but if it's the same person, then I'm totally confused. Well, I have theories, but I don't know that my theories are accurate in terms of what I think really happened in this situation. But well, I'm going to leave it at that for now until we get some more answers. So anyway, but our attorneys, we're still talking to them, still potential legal action we might take. Just depends on kind of the advice that we get and the path forward that we might want to use in this particular situation. So we'll see how it goes. But I appreciate all of you guys. You guys are the reason that this happened, that they rescinded the ban. I think there was enough anger and frustration from Jerome County residents and gun owners in particular that said, hey, wait a minute here. Like, if we got to follow the law, you guys got to follow the law. And by the way, we tried this year to add a penalty for firearm preemption violations. So look, I mean, understand this. They literally just violated state law. Okay. In our opinion, that seems very clear that they violated state law. guess what? There's no penalty. There's no penalty in the law that says, hey, you knew better. Here's the penalty for that. And this is why, by the way, this is why you put in a penalty, is because it serves as a deterrent to these government officials. We were trying to add, and here's the thing, we were trying to make it a $5,000 fine, just something simple. Okay, just to start, $5,000 fine. There are other states where it is a misdemeanor and a fine, and you have to pay legal expenses out of your own pocket. I mean, it really serves as a deterrent. There's no deterrent right now with our firearm preemption statute. It's like, oh yeah, it's there, but there's no penalty if you just violate it. And yet, for citizens, if there's a law you're going to violate, you can bet you there's a penalty for it. Most likely criminal or time in jail, whatever, misdemeanors, felonies, whatever. There are penalties, but you'll notice there's almost no penalties when government officials. Look at the flag issue. Okay. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but like, oh, you can't fly any flags other than these one flags. And the mayor of Boise was just like, giving the state the middle finger, both middle fingers. She didn't care. Guess what? There's no penalty there. So why does she care? And so you'll notice very often when they're passing a bill that limits what government agents can do, there's no penalties for it. They don't want to punish their own, so to speak, and so they won't put a penalty in there. And Jim Guthrie, the Senate State Affairs Chairman, we tried. We were like, look, man, even the NRA was trying to push a similar version of what we were doing with the preemption, to add some sort of penalty, some sort of enforcement mechanism, some sort of way to act as a much, much better deterrent than what we just saw. And the Jerome County is the perfect example of why a penalty has to be added to the firearm preemption statute. There has to be a way, a simple way, by the way. And one of the things the NRA was trying to add that years ago we were also trying to add was, if an organization like ours sues the county, then you're going to have to pay the legal expenses, because we're going out trying to defend the natural rights of the people. Like, it shouldn't really come out of our pocket that you were screwing up. And so you add all of these things in there to prevent counties and cities from doing exactly what Jerome County just did. So anyway, I appreciate you guys tuning in today. Please be sure to share this video. So this is a huge issue. You have to understand, yes, this happened in Jerome County, but this could happen anywhere. And with the Supreme Court, the Idaho Supreme Court gutting our firearm preemption statute, which we're still trying to repair, like it is up in the air right now. And we really need a lot of people to understand this could turn south really quick if we don't get it fixed, and it would have statewide consequences. So this is a critical issue and a critical example that we need you guys sharing around with as many people as possible. So I'm going to embed this in an article. We're going to do a really short write-up on what happened. We're going to embed this video in there so it's all in one place. Okay, all in one place. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you. Take care. God bless.